much like the game to its entirety, I think they're a lot of fun, and they're not really that difficult.
Not really that difficult. Not really that difficult.
This video will once again contain spoilers for Sonic Superstars, so if you haven't finished the game yet, then I suggest you do that first before watching this. Yeah, I was dead wrong about Sonic Superstars. You know, at the point of recording the video, my previous review for the game, I had said, like I showed you earlier, that the game really wasn't that challenging, and I didn't think that was a bad thing. I thought it was moderately challenging, not too difficult, but not too easy. However, that was before I played Trip's campaign and the final boss battle of the game, the true ending, if you will. Now, there was a reason I wasn't in such a hurry to rush and play Trip's story in the first place, and that was because I thought it was going to be like Sonic Mania's Encore mode, and to me, I didn't really feel like that added all that much outside of new playable characters such as Ray and Mighty. But this actually is more than just going back and replaying the same levels again, but as a specific character. Even though that's kind of what it is, I think there's more to it than just that. Trip's story is much more challenging than basically anything else I've seen in Sonic Superstars. Now, having said that though, my thoughts on Sonic Superstars to its entirety have not changed. I still very much enjoy this game and would recommend it to any Sonic fan. There's only one thing that I'm going back on in my previous Sonic Superstars review, and that's just the overall difficulty. You see, I had made the mistake in that video saying that the game wasn't difficult at all. To its entirety, it's not a very hard game. When, in actuality, I had only played the main story of it and just expected that Trip's story would be the same. And also didn't even really give it a shot to say so. Now, I gave it a shot, completed it, 100%ed it, and I'm able to say it is difficult. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, it felt like they just literally took the exact same levels from the main story, but just completely upped the ante. And I think what made it especially interesting is that you could only play as Trip doing this, and I wasn't exactly fully used to her moveset yet, and I know it's only like one different new thing to it, but even still, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I actually enjoyed that. It was a difficult challenge with a new scenario in which I had to play as a character who I was completely unfamiliar with. For the most part, I feel as though everything I had experienced with this game in terms of Trip's campaign, I had a similar level of experience when playing the main story. I was frustrated at times with Trip's campaign, but even still, I liked it enough where I just let it slide. I kept going through it. I would not have finished this campaign if I didn't like it. And I kid you not, there were moments in Trip's campaign where I absolutely felt like totally quitting, which we'll get to in just a second. But even still, as a general overview, I liked Trip's campaign. I didn't feel like it was repetitive as I was playing the same levels again, even though that's exactly what they were doing. These levels, to me, they feel fresh, so having to replay them, even if it is with a more intense difficulty, I don't mind it. It's not personally an issue for me. There were some levels, though, I actually just straight up didn't like, and I kind of realized how much I didn't like them after playing Trip's campaign, and those were acts like Golden Capital. I think that, in my opinion, might be the worst level now after playing Trip's campaign. I think Act 2, to me, was just really confusing. I didn't really know what they were trying to do with all like the moving things that I just did not like that at all. And also, I realized how annoying some of these boss battles could be while playing Trip's campaign. After having beat the main story, I didn't really have the same thoughts as many other people when it came to the boss battles. Many had said that they were boring and annoying because you had to constantly wait for them to attack first, but my counter argument was just use, the Chaos Emeralds to use your Chaos powers, and then you can attack them without having to wait for them, and that works like 90% of the time. However, I feel like with these bosses in Trip's campaign, you really can't do that, and if you do, it only rushes it by like maybe a 30-second time frame, because these bosses, they take way more hits now in Trip's campaign than in the main story. And I think that's exactly where I see the problem really showed, because it's not like I can use any of the Chaos powers more than once during a boss battle unless you're playing the final boss or whatever. But even still, having to sit there and wait for the boss to make their move first just makes this whole process feel really long and drawn out. And while I'm on the subject of weird things that I think this campaign does, is that I feel like at times it does punish you for going too fast, and I think this also might be due in part to just how close in the camera seems to feel as opposed to other classic Sonic titles, but there are moments where you're just running, and you might run into like fire in like the carnival zone or whatever. And it's just like, how were you supposed to see that it was going to be there unless you had played the level before? But even then, there's some things you just cannot plan for. Unless you slow down your time ultimately, but that's just not the point of Sonic. You want to get a fast time. These are very minor criticisms, so I don't want to see anyone in the comment section say that I'm complaining about the game. I already said I liked it, so just relax. But anyway, it's time for the main event, and by that I mean we're talking about Trip's final boss. I think this was the big kahuna. This was the thing that really almost got me to stop playing the game. I wanted to go back to the main story, I wanted to do anything but this, but the reason why I kept going was because not only did I firmly believe in myself like Tails the Fox always tells us to do, but I also felt I got this far, so I kinda had to finish it. Having said that, I've never once wanted to rip out that stupid tooth from his mouth ever so bad before. But I think what I learned as I was playing through this level, the first couple times you do it, I think it's supposed to be terrifying. You're supposed to be like, yo, there's no way I'm beating this, because he starts off with a move that literally can instant kill you if you're not careful. You know, these spinning purple things, these lightning rod things or whatever, that's supposed to scare you. That's supposed to make you feel as though there's no way I can beat this unless I actually strategize and plan and everything like that, which is ultimately what I had to do. But as all boss battles go, and especially in Trip's campaign, the more you progress further in this boss battle, the harder things are going to get. So even if you think you may have mastered or learned one element of this boss battle, there's still several others you haven't even seen yet. Honestly, I think the only reason I was able to take down Fang was because I was able to think and actually plan accordingly, like using chaos powers at a certain moment and not using them at other moments, and making sure I was able to time my attacks wisely to hit him as a perfect counterattack, otherwise I would die instantly or fall off the stage. However, there's just some things I don't even think you can plan for in this boss battle. Like, for example, there's one move he does after you take down, like, the first two phases, and he gets in this giant Fang robot or whatever, and he slams, like, the whole stage, and there's only, like, this little spot left, and there really isn't any time to plan for that. It just happens. Like, I think it happens so quick, you don't even know what he's doing. So if you, like, are happening to stand on, like, the edge of the platform that he slams in, you're gonna get hit by his giant, huge mallet spiked hands or whatever, and then probably fall off the stage and die. But if you're standing directly in the middle, he'll throw his face down and smack you into the bottom of the stage, ultimately causing you to die. You have to be particularly placed in between these two spots that I feel like you cannot do on your first playthrough unless you know it's coming. There's no way you could really predict this kind of thing, it just happens. The first time when I got this far in the boss, I didn't know it was going to happen and died instantly, and I just assumed that that was the last part of the boss. I just needed one more hit on him, which actually wasn't true. There was still more I needed to do. That was just one of his moves. It's not like this is like the finisher or he's getting desperate or whatever. This is just one of the moves that he throws in there. Also, I should apologize that I'm only kind of showing the same gameplay over and over again a little bit. This is all from the same footage of me playing the boss battle, just because there was no way I was doing that again, because, you know, it's done now. I don't even want to think about it, except for talking to you about it. But I believe it is doable. You can 100% beat this boss, and I believe in all of you who may be stuck on the same part that I was stuck on. It's difficult, but it is rewarding, and it feels great when you finally take him down. There is one thing I am curious about when it comes to this boss battle, and that's just if it's even possible to beat this thing in under the 10-minute time frame that it gives you, because you're not only given 10 minutes to complete this boss, but also to beat the level that you have to do before it. So is it even possible to get under 10 minutes for all of this? Because I kept getting 0 every time I played, and I don't even know if there's anything you can do to kind of prevent that. I mean, it is entirely possible that my reaction time sucks and I'm bad at video games, but if that is actually a hard thing to do, or maybe you've done it, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd like to see if you're truly the Sonic Superstars master. Now it's time to talk about the true final boss for Sonic Superstars. After beating Trip's campaign and fighting against Fang, you get to fight against this dragon, which maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I know they alluded to this several times throughout the story, I just don't really see how it fits in and why it's here. I mean, I know it was supposed to happen this way, but why did it happen? I don't know, maybe I need to pay closer attention. Even still, this boss battle wasn't bad. It wasn't something that I would consider to be the best supersonic boss battle by any stretch of the imagination, but it is nice because after playing that entirely difficult Fang boss battle you play with Trip, it's great to have a boss battle that isn't really that challenging. I think the hardest part about it was making sure that you kept your rings in check, and this was difficult because it felt so random. Like, I didn't know if there was a certain time interval in which the characters could drop by and give you rings, but there were some moments where I was just like, yo, why am I getting no rings when I desperately need them? Or why am I getting so many rings when I'm kinda chilling right now? And I had a couple ideas of ways to, in my opinion, improve this boss battle. Like, for example, I liked how Sonic 06 handled the final boss because when you were low on rings with a particular character, you can just switch and you get like an automatic ring reset with a new character. And I think this could have been done similarly with, Sonic Superstars final boss, where I think it'd be cool if you had all of the other characters fight this final boss in their super forms too, and you also just had to use Sonic and switch between these characters to fight this boss. It could be very much like that in the same way, and that way you don't have to worry about just running out of rings and that's the reason why you lose. It would also be really cool to use the other characters in this final boss battle because, hello, we did just get to see this awesome super form for Trip. Why are we not using it in this climactic moment? We could have a dragon fighting another dragon, but here we are not doing it. But having said all of that, I appreciate just how cinematic this final boss was. It was very colorful. You had all these meteors being spat at you, and you had these quick time events, and all this other cool stuff going on there that was really refreshing to see here, even in classic Sonic, when we just got off the heels of Sonic Frontiers, where Super Sonic was just the peak of the game. In conclusion, yeah, I was wrong about Sonic Superstars. This game has something for everyone, truly, because there is a challenge to be had here with Trip's story. That said, what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Did you find Trip's campaign to be that challenging? I want to know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. And with all that said and done, thank you all again so much for watching. This is SONICSTA signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?